Hello everyone! As I'm sure you all know by now, my name is Roseshards, but you can call me Rose, Rosie, Chloe, or honestly whatever you'd like. And today my speed paint topic is going to be a little bit different than usual, and the reason why is because this is actually a raffle prize for someone on Amino. If you guys don't remember, the other month I hosted a raffle where the winner got to decide on the topic for one of my upcoming speed paints, and the winner wanted me to talk about some of the characters who have been considered to be the worst parents of all times and give my own opinions on them. But before I get any further into the video, I'd like to take a moment to talk about something that I think you guys will be pretty excited about. As I'm sure you guys know, I absolutely love creating art and animations for you guys to enjoy, and so because of this, I'm busy creating content 24/7. But despite this, a lot of what I make doesn't actually make it into my videos. This is why I was really excited by Amino's brand new Stories feature, which allows creators to create short but unique videos that honestly really caught my attention. I also really find it cool how, unlike most apps, these stories don't actually disappear after a certain amount of time. They're permanent and can be viewed whenever. Which is why I'm super stoked to announce that I've partnered with Amino to produce some of my own stories, where I'll be showcasing a lot of my content that doesn't make it into my videos, such as my warrior cat design process. You can download Amino by clicking the link in the description or pinned comment, or by searching up Amino apps. You can then find my stories by searching up my username, Roseshards. Make sure to follow me and click the bell to be notified of whenever I post a new video. Every time you guys watch my videos, you'll actually be supporting me as well, so I'd really appreciate it if you could check out some of my videos over there. Anyways, that's all I have to say about Amino Stories for now, so back to the topic of worst Warriors parents. If you guys remember, I also had you all comment and vote on who you guys thought the worst Warriors parents were, and honestly, it was really entertaining to see your responses. I tried to choose a lot of the popular votes, but unfortunately there were a few characters I just couldn't talk about because I hadn't read any of the books they were in, such as Palebird, but because these characters seemed really interesting from what you guys suggested, I might make a video on them at a later point. Please just don't spoil the stories of these characters in the meantime in the comments, please. Every time I've said I haven't read a certain book, I've gotten spoilers from you guys, so I'd really appreciate it if you could just wait for me to read the books first. Anyways, speaking of spoilers, in case you'd like to avoid spoilers yourself, the characters I'll be discussing in this video are Lizardstripe, Brightflower, Clear Sky, Stormtail, Bluestar, Pinestar, and Mapleshade. So if there are any names you're unfamiliar with, I suggest clicking away now. Anyways, let's get on to the actual discussion portion of the video. I wanted to start off with Lizardstripe because she received the most votes, and I think the majority of you guys know why she got the most votes. She was honestly pretty horrible, and there's no excusing her behavior. For those of you who may not remember, Lizardstripe was a Shadow Clan queen in Yellowfang's secret, and is also the queen who took in Brokenstar after he was born. Lizardstripe never wanted kits and made this fact very clear to everyone around her, and never once looked at the idea of having kits as a positive experience. She complains about them before they're born, and then goes on to say that if Toms could have kits, she'd make her mate have them instead. Though she grows more tolerant of her own kits once they're born and treats them with decency, things become really bad when Broken Kit is introduced into the mix. She is the only queen and therefore the only cat who can nurse him, but makes it very clear he is unwanted and that she resents him. Because Yellowfang and Ragastar have no other choice, Broken Kit is given to Lizardstripe anyways, where she essentially abuses him until he's old enough to become apprenticed. She was very cruel to him and wanted to make it clear to him that he was not wanted. She treated her own kids far better than she treated him, going so far as to nip at him, treat him with aggression, and even deprive him of milk to remind him that he was not wanted by her. It's even stated many times that Brokenstar likely got his nasty traits from her, and thought that aggression and power were the only way to get respect from his clanmates. He even hated everyone around him because of her. Basically, Lizardstripe is the reason why one of the evilest, if not the evilest cats grew to become that way. As for my own thoughts on her, I obviously can't defend her at all and agree that she is horrible. It's a huge shame that Yellowfang had no other options at the time. Honestly, maybe even dropping him off in ThunderClan territory in hopes of him getting a better foster parent could have saved him. But yeah, since it's very clear she was a bad parent, I wanted to talk about her first because there's not really much to say. She sucked. The end. Anyways, on to the next character. Brightflower is also a character from Yellowfang's secret, though she is not talked about as often. For those of you who don't know her, she is actually Yellowfang's mom. Anyways, Brightflower has 3 kids with her mate, Brackenfoot, and, well, everything is good. There's no issues. The scene that makes people think she was a bad parent, however, is at the very end of Yellowfang's secret, when Yellowfang is exiled from ShadowClan. Basically, what happens is Brightflower has 2 kids despite being older than Yellowfang, who was described as ancient at the time, but whatever. These 2 kids go missing. Yellowfang and her mother search for the kids, but no luck. Yellowfang then eventually finds their bodies outside of camp, assuming they were just recently killed by a fox. She brings their remains back to Shadow Clan, and Brightstar uses this opportunity to accuse Yellowfang of murder. Brightflower believes him for some reason and also accuses her of killing the kids. When Yellowfang says she would never, Brightstar claims that she must have done it because her scent is all over them. Though a few cats try to defend her, she is then exiled and her mother stares coldly at her as she leaves. So, I guess it's understandable why some see this as bad parenting on Brightflower's end, but honestly, I'm already going to disagree with one of the options on this list. Brightflower was a really good mother to Yellowfang and her siblings, and Yellowfang really looked up to her mother and wanted to be like her as a kid. She even felt pride because she had a similar muzzle to her mom. Brightflower was supportive of Yellowfang during the entire book, aside from one small incident where she thought that she was lying about feeling sick as a kid. I don't think that all of the good things that she did with and for her kids should all be discredited because of that one scene at the end of the Super Edition. I know that murder is obviously a really serious thing to accuse someone of, but she was grieving and in a really bad mental state. In the moment, she probably didn't know what to say or believe after her clan leader, the cat she should theoretically be able to trust the most, suggested that her daughter could have done such a thing. This explanation is sort of similar to my Dawn Pelt video. When someone has just been hit with some serious news and is grieving, they likely will not be able to rationalize things properly for a while. There were so many emotions flowing through her at once that I really can't blame her for lashing out in the moment. Brightflower obviously loved her daughter and showed this all throughout the book, so I don't think it's fair to judge her character based on something irrational she did while she was essentially having a mental breakdown, and was likely not capable of thinking straight. I also think that Yellowfang's secret as a whole suffered from extremely poor writing, so honestly the sudden shift of character could have easily just been due to poor decisions made by the writers. Also, unrelated fun fact, I actually drew this scene for my first attempt at making this video, but my recording software did not save any of the footage for some reason, so I had to draw a whole new piece. Anyways, I have a lot of characters to talk about, so on to the next. Clear Sky. I have so many mixed feelings towards him. He was good, and then he was bad, and then he was horrible, and then he was okay, and then he was pretty bad again, and then he slowly got better, and then honestly got pretty good. But at the same time, I don't know if he's been able to fully redeem himself. Anyways, if you've read Dawn of the Clans, I'm sure you guys know why he's on this list. After Clear Sky's group moved to the forest area, he began to act more and more hostile towards others, even his own friends and family. What was probably one of the worst instances is when Greywing brings Thunder, Clear Sky's only surviving kit, to him, and Clear Sky rejects him. He refuses to take care of him, and Greywing raises him instead. After Clear Sky sees Thunder again, and after a fire breaks loose in the forest and Thunder rushes in to help the others, Clear Sky invites him to join his camp and Thunder accepts, until he realizes Clear Sky is pretty bad and then leaves. And I'm not going to lie, this was pretty bad on Clear Sky's end. But at the same time, Clear Sky is just such a complex character that, on one hand, I can sort of understand why he behaved this way. The books make it really clear he was suffering from some sort of intense trauma after witnessing Fluttering Bird's death, as well as indirectly getting his first mate, Brightstream, killed by an eagle. These are 2 things he struggles with for a lot of the arc. He also feels guilt over Storm's death at one point as well, which is where things get really interesting. Clear Sky turns Thunder down the first time, saying that he couldn't protect Storm and that Thunder needs a father who can protect him. And given all of these things that it's known he has felt guilt over, you can really begin to understand his actions. The fact that 3 of his loved ones died and he couldn't do anything to save them was something he genuinely could not forget or even seem to live with, and so he instead turned away from those he cared for most so he didn't have to experience such tragedy again. He felt as though he was letting everyone down, and was afraid of all the bad things that could happen to them while they were under his care. He genuinely felt responsible for some of these deaths. It's really difficult to live with something like that. But at the same time, he did not consider the fact that he'd be hurting his family more by turning away from them, and he ended up making them feel even more pain instead of protecting them. And he isn't able to change until Thunder's all grown up and has already grown resentful towards him. Even though it's made very clear that Clear Sky regrets his actions deeply and uses these feelings of regret to inspire him to never let his new litter inmate down. This doesn't change the fact that he was not a good father figure at all to Thunder. So, while yes, I think he was a bad father to Thunder, I think there's a lot more to his character than whether he's just good or bad. Honestly, writing this script has made me realize he's a pretty awesome character. But we still have a ton of characters to talk about, so I think it's time we move on. Stormtail was probably the first father I ever heard of that was supposedly bad in the Warriors series, many, many years ago. So when I finally got around to reading Bluestar's prophecy, I was not expecting him to be decent at all. And, well, he wasn't entirely bad, I suppose, but he wasn't entirely good either. I'm pretty sure that there are two main reasons why people think he's a bad father, the first being he was never fully involved in the lives of his kids, and that he let Moonflower die in the battle against WindClan when he could have saved her. There's not really a lot of crucial history for the first point, he's just not really around and kind of seemed awkward around his kids at first. He kind of just seemed to prefer to do other things. Whether this was because he didn't feel he was ready to be a father or not is up to speculation, I guess, but regardless, it doesn't really excuse the fact that he wasn't really involved with his family. There are at least a few points later on where he expresses he's proud of them and defends Bluefur from Thistleclaw even, as well as comforts her after the death of Snowfur, so there were definitely a few good moments there when he kind of just became a bit better, but he still wasn't really spectacular or anything. Now for the point that he left Moonflower's side in battle to instead help Doppeltail. Yeah, that wasn't really good. At all. He raided the medicine cat den alongside his mate, Moonflower, but once she started getting attacked, he kind of just left. Moonflower tried to run off, but didn't make it very far, as I'm sure you all know. He completely had the opportunity to stay with her and likely even save her, but he wanted to be with Doppeltail instead, who he then spent a lot of time with, hinting at there being a romantic attraction between the two. And while I personally think that this was a horrible thing for him to do, that doesn't make him a bad parent, just a bad mate. You could constantly yell at your partner and just be mean to them, but if you still treat your kids very well and show them nothing but love, you're not a bad parent, just a bad partner. And of course there is a point where being a bad partner can turn you into a bad parent because it will obviously at some point affect the lives of your children and make them upset, but I don't think Stormtail was really in this boat. He kind of just wasn't there. It's not like he was abusive or anything, so of course it's not good to be a bad partner and it's not good to treat anyone with disrespect, but I don't think that this can be used as an argument to say that he's a bad parent in this case. I mean, I guess in a sense it kind of makes him a bad parent because he could have saved Moonflower, which would have made the lives of his kids better, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't purposely aiming to get her killed either. I think it was just a bad, self-centered decision that indirectly got her killed, but I'm sure he wouldn't have run off if he knew that she'd die if he did so. I don't think he was that bad of a person. Or maybe he knew it was a possibility and just genuinely didn't care. I don't really know enough about him to tell because he wasn't really around. Either way, as a parent, I'd say he was pretty meh. He's bad, but he's definitely not the worst parent out there. So he honestly just gets a meh from me. Not a lot to say about him. On the other hand, I do feel like I have a lot to say about his daughter, Bluestar. Now, this is an interesting one for sure, and I'm very glad that she was voted up here at all, even if it wasn't by a lot. I'm sure that everyone knows who she is, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys should be able to understand why she's here just right off the bat. When Bluestar became pregnant as a result of a literal one-night stand she had with Oakheart, she didn't really know what to do with the kids. She cared for them, yes, but she didn't want Thistleclaw to become deputy instead of her, so she tries to smuggle them across the RiverClan border, and Mosskit ends up dying. Yeah, Bluestar, maybe your plan could have been a little bit better. Anyways, there's not really much to say other than this. The fact that she gives up her kids and one of them ends up dying because of it speaks for itself. She was not really a good mother. I mean, if anything, she could have even turned around once the storm picked up and then tried to take them to RiverClan the next night if she really felt she had to give them up. And I already know I'm gonna get a ton of angry comments like, Rose, how could you say Bluestar was a bad mother? You know she had to give up her kids so that Thistleclaw would become the leader. And to that, I say, sure. She could have felt it was very necessary to give them up to protect her clan, but that does not make her a good mother. At the end of the day, she still gave up her kids and one of them died because of it. Whether it was the right decision to make is a completely different story, but regardless, it's not good parenting. That being said, I don't actually know why she felt she had to give up the kids. I guess it's not impossible that some of what happened in the book may have slipped my mind after reading like 40 other Warriors books, but who even said that Thistleclaw would have become the deputy if she couldn't? Like, for all we know, Lionheart or something could have been chosen to be deputy. Now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't know if the idea of Thistleclaw becoming deputy was anything other than Bluefar's speculation. In fact, why would Sunstar choose her to be deputy after she proved herself to be emotional and irrational many times during the book? Sunstar personally having to talk to her about it many times. So many questions. This book was so poorly written. Ugh. Anyways, while I personally don't think that Bluestar should have given up the kids considering there were a lot of other options she could have had, I guess I can see why she chose to do so. This doesn't change my mind at all though. As far as I'm concerned, she's a pretty bad parent. It doesn't matter what her reasoning was, the kids would have all survived if they'd stayed at ThunderClan and it would have been easier for them. So the fact that she knowingly gave them up and put them in danger during the storm kinda shows that she was not the best mother out there. Again, though her reasoning can be justified to an extent, it does not mean that she was not a bad parent. I'm going to move on to the next character before I make you guys even more angry. The next character on this list is actually another ThunderClan leader, this character being Pinestar. Again, this is a character that I think the majority of you guys know, but in case you don't remember, he was Tigerstar's father. Wow, a lot of leaders in this video. Anyways, he ended up stepping down from his position as leader and leaving to become a kitty pet while Tigerstar was still just a tiny kid. And I'm not going to lie, just looking at that alone, it's pretty obvious why he's on the list. You would think that Pinestar would want to stay to watch his only surviving kit grow up, but no, he was definitely pretty different. In fact, he was so different that I almost kind of put him in the same boat as Clear Sky. Though what he did was still wrong, I can kind of see why he left. Before Tiger Kit is born, Pinestar is visited by Dostar in a dream, who says that this kit will essentially destroy ThunderClan, and that Pinestar needs to teach him what's worthy so the clan avoids destruction. After Tiger Kit is born, he can't seem to forget Dostar's warning, and is genuinely afraid of his kit. He then has a nightmare where Tiger Kit grows in size and blood appears everywhere as voices repeatedly tell him to kill his own son, which he refuses to do. Goosefeather then tells him something about how his dream matters. Honestly, I'm not making this scene sound as cool as it is. This is definitely a scene I want to animate one day. In fact, I might animate this entire novella one day. I honestly just really enjoyed it. But anyways, that's besides the point. Point is, Pinestar knew his kit was going to cause mass destruction for the clans, and he felt powerless to stop this destruction. I mean, I'm pretty sure that between Goosefeather's outbursts about Tiger Kit and Pinestar's nightmares and warnings about him, Tiger Kit was destined to become evil. And is it right to leave your only son because you know he's going to become evil? Not necessarily, but I can still understand his reasoning. On top of that, Pinestar was just going through a lot in general. He feared battle, had a hard time making decisions for the clan, and just felt a lot of pressure all the time. He clearly wasn't ready to become a leader or even a father, and I'm not surprised that he finally just cracked. There was too much weight on his shoulders, and he didn't feel that he had what it took to prevent his son from becoming evil. I mean, in one of his dreams he heard voices telling him to kill his own son. At one point, he just told Lionpaw to tell the clan that he'd been found dead. It's clear that he would have just suffered if he'd stayed. And this really wouldn't be good for him or the clans, considering he's supposed to be helping them, and how is he supposed to do that when he's not in a good state himself? But anyways, I mean, it was honestly kind of responsible for him to step down from being a leader when he knew he wasn't strong enough to lead. But that's kind of getting a little bit off topic. It wasn't right for Pinestar to leave his son, and I will say he was a bad parent for doing so. But again, there's so much to his character, and he was put under extreme stress due to a lot of things, and so I can't say that I don't at least understand his actions, especially when he thought that he may be faced with the possibility of having to kill his own son if he stayed. In fact, maybe he thought that by leaving and not having to be put into that situation, he was actually saving his son, kind of making him a good parent. Who knows? But yeah, at this point, I think it's safe to say that he was not the best father. And now, last but definitely not least, we have Mapleshade. Not going to lie, I'm actually a little bit surprised as to why I saw some votes for her, but regardless, I thought it would be interesting to talk about her, so here we are. I'm sure you all know who this ThunderClan she-cat is, so I'm going to skip the introduction. Now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of ThunderClan cats made this list. Maybe that's saying something about ThunderClan. Anyways, apparently there's a decent amount of people out there who think that Mapleshade was a bad parent because all her kids drowned under her care. And while this is tragic, I feel completely confident saying that this was not a result of Mapleshade being a bad mother. In fact, Mapleshade may be, in a sort of twisted way, one of the best mothers in the whole series. She was a lot better than all of the characters on this list, I can tell you that much. For the entirety of Mapleshade's vengeance, we are reminded of how much Mapleshade loves her kids. They fill her with nothing but joy while they're alive, and when they die, she is completely devastated and her whole world turns upside down. Like, she has a breakdown so intense over the loss of her kids, she frequently sees them in hallucinations and convinces herself that the only way she can make it up to her kids is by killing all of the cats who wronged her and indirectly got her kids killed. She literally cannot rest or feel satisfaction until all of these cats are dead. I'm sorry, but to me that sounds pretty intense. As for the actual death of her kids, she obviously had no clue they were going to die if she attempted to cross the river. Otherwise, she definitely would not have attempted to cross at that point. She was a ThunderClan cat who knew nothing about the river currents and unfortunately attempted to cross at a bad time that ended up getting all of her kids killed. I mean, she attempted to save them, so she obviously didn't want them to die. She was traumatized by the image of them wailing for help in the water, as is proved by her flashbacks and her hallucinations. The deaths of her kids were not a result of bad parenting, but a result of a tragic accident. She didn't know that they would die if she crossed the river. She was attempting to bring them to RiverClan so they could be safe with their father. She was trying to look out for them, but unfortunately things just went wrong. Mapleshade was a fantastic mother and devoted her whole life to caring for her kids, so much so that their deaths completely changed her forever, even in the afterlife. Mapleshade is honestly a character I feel great sympathy for, because in her situation, I don't know what I'd do. This is why I think it's crazy that there's anyone out there who can even think she was a bad parent for a second when she very clearly loved her kids more than anything, and only wanted to protect them. So yeah, that's about all I have to say for this one. I know that this topic was a little bit different from what I usually talk about, but I honestly had a lot of fun talking about these guys, and it really allowed me to see some of these characters in a new light and ironically appreciate them a bit more, despite them being on a list that's literally talking about how they're bad. Let me know who you think is the worst parent out of all of these cats. Well, other than Lizardstripe maybe. I mean, she did get the most votes, and she was undoubtedly pretty bad. And also let me know if you're able to see any of these characters in a different light due to this video. It'd be cool to see what you guys may think of these characters now. If any of you guys would be interested in purchasing a print of this piece, prints will be $5 off for a few days, and I'll also have a limited edition larger size available. Shop link will be in the description. I also figured I'd show the piece that I initially attempted to record too. Honestly, recording this video was crazy. First, my video program wouldn't record, then I had to upgrade it and then my recording took up 24 gigabytes of space and I had to use a free screen recorder online. Then my programs weren't working properly because I had almost no space left. Meanwhile, my headset is glitching out and making me listen to annoying sounds and static as I record. I swear all my technology turned against me for this video. It's honestly ridiculous. Anyways, I think I'm starting to ramble, so it's best I end the video here. Remember to check out my Amino stories for some additional content. I hope you guys liked this video. Bye for now!